CL 650 presents your source for leading-edge news and information on today's hottest products and services. This is Experts on Call.
Home, where my thoughts escaping. Home, where my music's playing. Home, where my love lies waiting silently.
And welcome to the show. It's good that you're with us here on CL 650. We're talking about looking after strata buildings. And so many people live in a strata or have or will at a certain stage in their life, either on the way up, maybe to buying a detached home, or maybe downsizing later, or maybe that's your main place where you're going to live your entire adult life. We have with us here our experts. Key Pacific Property Management, along with a number of strata industry professionals, are developing a resource designed to connect strata councils, those are the people that look after the buildings, with high-quality, reputable strata-related service providers, and what we call StrataLife. So joining me today is Dan O'Hearn, president of Key Pacific Property Management. Key Pacific Property Management has been serving Metro Vancouver since 1998. Also in studio, Alex Lemongelli.
Lee Mongelli.
Okay, put a little accent over that. Lee Mongelli.
You got to sing it.
Lee Mongelli.
Sing it.
Public sector manager of waste management. Did you bring your big green truck?
They're all over the road.
I was driving along East 12th and I saw you driving your Accord. So
yeah,
you don't drive a big green truck. And we have Kim Wallace here, Vice President of Design Roofing. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So on the show today, we're going to get into all kinds of things to do with strata living. Now, Dan, Kim, and Alex, we're going to go through a little bit about your businesses, and then we'll get into specific questions. But Dan, first of all, you sort of are in the property management. What is Key Pacific? What do you guys do?
Well, we're a mid-sized company. We focus on strata management. We deal with great contractors like these two here, and we help coordinate what needs to be done at all the buildings.
And what percentage of buildings have a management company helping them with their details?
That's a good question, Zach. I don't know. It's got to be like 95%.
The majority.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go, is to have somebody, the experts that you call as a council member.
Yeah, because remember, we're not just taking care of your building, we're taking care of other buildings, so we know what's working elsewhere, and we can often make recommendations that are a good solution for you.
And then you have the preferred list of contractors and people.
The people we know, we like, we trust, and it's up to the council really to make the final decision, but we always start with the preferred trade.
And having a management company, there's a lot of hand-holding when it comes to big-ticket items like a new roof, for example.
Yes.
You have to say, it's okay, it'll be fine.
It's okay. We've been there. We've done that. We'll get you through this process, right?
All right. Now, what about waste management? I joke about the big green trucks, but I see them with the big WM on the side, and this is a huge company. So tell us about how big waste management is.
Oh, well, we're a Fortune 200 company, actually, and we've been in the Lower Mainland for over 30 years providing environmental solutions to businesses and municipalities. So we do actually quite a bit of work in multifamily buildings, and we were one of the first companies to introduce food waste recycling for multifamily, something that a lot of companies didn't want to touch. Just because of the challenge on the education, the language barriers.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a moment, but I want to introduce Kim. Tell us about Design Roofing. How long has your business been in place? I talked to you before. It's a family business, right?
Yes, it's a family business. My dad and I run it. He started it in 1984.
So you're really the boss, right?
He's slowing down a little bit. But no, he's very involved.
When was the business started?
1984.
Okay, so what kind of roofing do you do?
Well, we do work on industrial, commercial, and multifamily unit residential. We kind of have two divisions to the company. One is production, so new roofs, new construction, and then the other is repairs and maintenance. So the repairs and maintenance, I'd say, our biggest customer would be the multi-unit residential, so townhouse complexes, condo buildings.
So that whole leaky condo thing wasn't really the roof; it was the sides of the building.
It was the sides, yes.
Yeah. So but I mean, a roof is so vital in Vancouver to have a good roof, and a lot of flat roofs. There is a real specialty, right?
Yes. Well, for us, for new roofs, so roof replacements, we only specialize in flat roofs. We do repairs on sloped roofs, but the flat roof with a 2-ply SBS system would be kind of our bread and butter.
All right. Now we're going to get into Alex and waste management and recycling, and you kind of touched on it just a moment ago. So what is this recycling product stewardship, and what does that mean for a multi-family building?
Yeah, recycling product stewardship, or EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility, is an initiative from the Ministry of the Environment. In 2012, the MOE enacted a recycling regulation that actually required the producers of packaging to pay for the packaging their products are sold on to be put at the curb and then recycled.
You would think that would make the packaging smaller.
Yeah,
but, you know, when you buy something, it's a classic example is, you know, one of those little media cards, you know, like it's a 32 gig SD card for your camera. Comes in all of this big packaging.
Exactly, especially when you order it online.
Yeah. Well, like for example, you get the box, and inside the box is another box.
Exactly. So in the past, it's been the municipalities or taxpayers to pay for that product to be recycled. And also all the risk that's associated with selling the product or marketing the product to be reused. And now that's shifted over to the producers of packaging. So the Procters & Gambles, the Nikes of the world, they're actually paying for that recycling product to go into the blue box or into your cart at the multifamily building and then be recycled or reused for other products. So it's no longer a cost to taxpayers for that standard once-a-week collection, and the municipalities are now using that money for other resources, other ways to divert waste from landfill.
You might not know this. This might be above your pay grade, but how do they divvy that up? So I guess the Nikes and the Procter & Gambles of the world pay into a fund.
Right.
So who decides how much?
There's an organization, a not-for-profit organization that's handling all this called Multi-Materials British Columbia, and what they do is they work with the producer. They're representing the producers of packaging to provide this service. So I don't know how they price the product. I don't know how they producers of packaging pay for it. It could be on a per kilogram basis of cardboard or other materials that are recycled. But the important aspect here is that they're paying for it. It's no longer a charge that buildings in Vancouver or any other area should have to incur, and taxpayers don't have to pay for that anymore.
Now, kind of walk me through the basics of, say, like waste management is involved with picking up waste from a building versus I have a garbage can in a detached home that I stick out in the lane, the city comes and gets it.
That's right.
Versus you. So who pays for that? The building, or is that taxpayers?
Well, usually the recycling in some municipalities, like in New Westminster, for example, the city is providing the organics or food waste collection in multifamily, and they're also providing the recycling collection in multifamily. But the garbage and the cardboard or other recyclable materials, the Stratas are on the hook for hiring their own contractor. And sometimes
I do ultimately pay because I pay a tax.
You do pay. You pay on your property taxes for the collection of your garbage.
Right.
But what you should not be paying for in the next coming months is you should not be paying for the recycling services. So while you separate your glass and you put all your material at the curb, well, that's now Multi-Materials British Columbia that's taking care of that.
It's a little embarrassing when I put out the new gray one that's full of beer bottles and wine bottles. Right?
Well, take this to the maternity
that's my gift to the guys that go down the back lane with the trolley, right? I mean, hey, I'm too lazy, first of all, and if they can use the 5 or 10 cents, knock yourself out. But, you know, there's a few like El Paso, salsa bottles in there too. But, the chips and the salsa that go with the beer and the wine. All right. So what changes are coming in the next few months for multi-buildings when it comes to recycling?
That's a great question, actually. So Waste Management is going to continue to be the service provider for all the multifamily buildings in the City of Vancouver, and that's a collaboration with both Multi-Materials BC and the City of Vancouver. So the biggest changes you're going to see is in the coming weeks, all of the buildings in Vancouver will start to receive their glass segregation bins. So
that's the gray one I have.
That's the gray one you have. For your buildings, it'll just be a standard blue one that'll have just for glass. And so what buildings need to do is they really need to think about their recycling, because this new program not only has enhanced what's accepted, so you can start putting more material into your recycling bins, and really the only big change is taking the glass out. And so, you know,
you have to take the bottle, see the tops come off and go in the regular blue bin, or
you could do that,
right? And that's what they've asked residential homeowners to do.
That's right.
So it's just glass.
It's just the biggest change you'll see is they're going to see these glass bins, and also there's going to be at every building there's going to be some new brochures and new education material that's going to be handed out, and we really encourage everybody to read those materials, because at the end of the day, doing the right thing and recycling the right products is the best thing that you can do at the building, and it actually brings you into compliance, so that haulers that are there there to collect your garbage or your other products are not fined by Metro Vancouver because that recycling material is otherwise going in the garbage or into the wrong bins.
And the fine goes to the Strata Corporation.
Unfortunately, somebody has to pay for that fine. And so at multifamily buildings, the biggest challenge we have is that the waste is so anonymous. Unlike at single family, your neighbors will see.
How much wine I've been drinking.
That's right, exactly. They'll walk by and say, wow, Zach,
a good party.
He likes his vino. But in multifamily, who do you know? Who knows? They're throwing like computers and things in the garbage, and really, Metro Vancouver imposes those fines on us. It's really tough to educate in multifamily unless you're touching every single unit. So really, a lot of signage and just the compliance. It's the right thing to do.
Well, you know, when we had the whole, what do they call it? The waste, the biodegradable waste, green waste.
Yeah, the green waste.
Well, when that was implemented for my home, I was like, they're making me do this, and now I do it every night. I have a little bin under the sink. I put it out in the laneway every night, and it's just part of my routine. It's not that big a deal. And the gray bin came with the bottles, and everything just gets put in a different bucket, basically. Yeah. But I'm a garbage man at my house every night. That's my job. So how do you tell 400 unit building how to do this when you have different generations? Older people may be reluctant to change. New Canadians don't speak the language. So how do you deal with that?
That's a very good question. So, you know, obviously the education piece in different languages, we provide that information in all sorts of languages if they really, really want it. But on the recycling side of things, we've been recycling for so long here in Vancouver, and we do a great job of it. In fact, we're probably one of the best in Canada, I'd say. For the food waste program, it's a little bit different. So, you know, what you really want to do is you want to host a lobby educational event. And that's what we do. We don't just sell the service. We go in and we sit in the lobby and we do an education event. We have the residents come down so we can show them how to use the program. Because, of course, in multifamily, everybody knows that these garbage rooms, not only do they not have room, but they're really not monitored. Nobody really spends time cleaning them.
And they're not the best place to hang out.
They're not the best place to hang out. And so when you bring in the food waste, it creates that much more of a challenge. So you really have to talk to people about using it, how to use it properly.
Quickly before the break, why is it important to take organics out of the regular garbage? Because that goes back to earth. It turns into earth. So why do we need to take the biomaterial out? Because it's just going to turn, the worms are going to get at it. And so why do we need to separate it?
That's a really good question. You know, what happens with food waste is it's not actually planted at a landfill in dirt separately. It's actually in a plastic bag. Everybody would throw it in a plastic bag. And what happens if there's no oxygen for that food waste, the moisture in the food waste to evaporate,
and the worms can't get at it.
Basically, it turns into methane gas, and it's really harmful for our environment. And to be honest, it's 40% of your garbage is organic material. And then that's just the aspect on the environment. Then there's the aspect on the cost. To take garbage to a landfill is over $100. To reprocess food and organics is under $60. And it gets repurposed into clean soil that's used to landscape our cities. So it's not only the right choice for our environment, but it's also the smart choice for municipalities in terms of taxpayer dollars.
That's the voice of Alex Limongelli, Public Sector Manager of Waste Management. This is StrataLife. We're going to pick up roofing, which is a huge part of living in Vancouver. It's been a little wet this summer, too, and even in the summer. We'll pick up that conversation next, right here on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.